it's Jennifer from Flux. Welcome back to week 3 of our 2023 fall crochet along. We are working on this super cute crochet pumpkin tower, and this is just a great, fun, happy little project for fall. And today we're going to be working on the stem and the leaves that will kind of top off and finish off the top of our pumpkin tower. So just to recap, our week 1, we talked a little bit about the overview of the project and the supplies needed and the sizing of the project. So if you missed that, the link is down below. You can check that out. Last week, we learned how to make the 3 rectangles that will eventually turn into our 3D pumpkin when we seam them. So we worked on that last week. Again, the link is below. This week, like I mentioned, we're going to make a stem. Now this is just a very easy stem and a 1 round leaf. And I did it with some of the other colors that I used for the project to kind of bring some color, some of the same colors through the whole project and make it look more complete and finished. So we're going to be making those together today, step by step and stitch by stitch. So if you haven't joined our Ravelry group and our Facebook group for our crochet alongs, both links are down below, and you can hop on in there, say hello, see what colors people are using, ask questions. There's a lot of experienced crocheters in there, so it's a really fun place to hang out. The links are down below for that. So let's get started. We're going to jump right in. This is a pretty quick tutorial today with our stem and our leaves. Okay, we're going to make 2 leaves and a stem. Let's start with the leaves. Now I already made a green leaf. Let's make an orange leaf, because what I want to do for our pumpkins is to kind of bring the color throughout the piece. So our leaves are going to go up top, and I want these 2 colors to kind of be brought up to the top as well. So we made a green one. Let's do our orange leaf. We're going to begin by putting a slip knot on our hook. So wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up a loop and tighten. Then what we'll do is we'll chain 4. So to make a chain, wrap the yarn around the hook, bring it through the loop. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to join in the chain farthest from our hook to create a ring. So insert the hook into that ring, bring up a loop. Now bring that loop through the loop already on your hook. And now we have the ring that we'll be working our stitches into. As a side note, if you prefer the magic ring, feel free to do that instead. You can totally do that. We're also going to hold this tail along the edges we work to weave it in as we go along. Now we're going to begin with our leaf. So we're going to come around the bottom and create this bottom curve and then work our way upward and then back down. Okay? So to begin, we're going to work 6 double crochets into the center of the ring. So to make a double crochet, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert the hook into the center of the ring, and bring up a loop. Wrap the yarn around the hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. So that was our first double crochet. We need 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, holding that tail along the edge, 4, 5, and 6. Just like that, okay? Now if you need to push those stitches out of the way to sort of make more room in your ring, also is a great idea. So we're going to come up the leaf side now. So we're going to work 4 single crochets now into the center of the ring. So to make a single crochet, insert the hook into the center of the ring and bring up a loop. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to work that top point of our leaf. So we're going to work a treble crochet. Again, scoot those stitches over if you need to, holding that tail along the edge. So to make a treble crochet, wrap yarn around hook 2 times, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the next 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. And now let's come down the other side of our leaf, and we're going to once again work 4 single crochets into the center of the ring. So 1, holding that tail, 2, 3, and 4, okay? Now we're going to join in that first stitch that we worked with a slip stitch, to close the round, okay? So join to close, and then our leaf is complete. Now we have to kind of straighten it out a little bit. It's a little bit bunchy, but we will do that in a minute. So we're going to leave a long tail here, about 8 or so inches long. So snip that off, and then you can take your hook, wrap it around, and bring it through. This long tail will help us seam it on later, okay? So then you can kind of take your leaf and shape it up a bit, pull that tail to close, and trim. And shape it up. So now we have a green leaf and an orange leaf, okay? Let's make the stem next. The stem is really easy, and we're going to grab just a little bit of this brown yarn. We use just tiny, tiny amounts of this for this. So you could use this for another project, or if you want to, you could just choose one of our other colors for the stem. Okay, so if the stem is super easy, what we're going to do is we're going to put, once again, put a slip knot on our hook. And this time we're going to chain 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then what we'll do is we'll work in the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, we're going to work a single crochet in that second chain from the hook. So single crochet all the way across. We're going to just make a tiny rectangle and fold it in half, okay? So we're just creating this tiny little narrow rectangle for our stem, okay? So just all the way across with your single crochets, just like that. And then we're just going to work one more row doing the same thing. So chain 1, and then in that first stitch, work a single crochet, single crochet in the next stitch, and so forth, okay? And then we're going to have our little rectangle that we'll be working, folding rather, and seaming up in just a minute, okay? So I'm just working a single crochet all the way across, and then in that very last stitch, okay? So once again, we're going to leave a long tail. This time I would say about 12 inches because we need to seam and use the tail to sew it onto the topmost pumpkin, okay? So what we're going to do is wrap the yarn around our hook and fasten that off, okay? So just bring it all the way through and kind of snug it down. And then we'll grab our needle and get this same tail that we just cut and just thread your tapestry needle. And then we're going to fold our little rectangle in half, just like this, okay? So you'll just have like a folded over to make our little stem, okay? And then all we're going to do is just sew up one side of this. Just go right across here, and we're just going to sew that up. And then we need to sew the other side. So we need to get our needle in the right place, so just kind of let it travel through those stitches till we get to the other side here. You're just going to kind of carry your needle across till it gets to the right side. And then, once again, do the same thing. Seam down this side, okay? What we're doing is creating a little bit of a pocket, and we're going to put a tiny bit of stuffing in there, okay? All right, so we're at the end, and then we're just going to tie these two together. The tail where you began, and the tail where we were seaming. So just tie those together. And then this tail you can just tuck right in there, just like that. And then we're going to get a little bit of our fiberfill, just the tiniest little pinch, like probably even less than that I'm going to use. And you just want to kind of tuck it in that stem, okay? Super easy. Same thing we're going to use to stuff our pumpkins. Just grab a little tiny pinch of that. All right, and then we have a super cute little stem. It doesn't look like much, but when it gets added to the top, it'll be cute. So leave the tail on here. You can leave this open because we're just going to sew it right onto the top of a pumpkin. Okay, so our 3 little elements that we're going to add to the top of our pumpkin is complete. So let me just grab our topmost pumpkin. We're going to learn how to assemble these and seam them up next week, and put all of it together. But I just wanted to kind of show you, we have our cute little stem, and then we have two little accent leaves that we're going to just sort of stitch on there. I'm kind of holding them on, but the tails are kind of distracting, but we're going to sort of like have two little leaves for the top, okay? So what we'll do next week is we're going to get our pumpkin rectangles, all three of them, our two leaves that we made. If you want to make more leaves and do like a ring of leaves around it, feel free to do that. We have some yarn left. You could use that. And our stem, we're going to get all the elements together and we're going to start assembling our pumpkins. So next week we'll seam the rectangle and create these pieces of yarn around to create that iconic pumpkin shape. And we're going to connect all the pumpkins together so it's all one piece. And then we're going to add the leaves and the stem, and it'll be all done and ready to put out for your fall decor. Okay, so now we have all the parts that we're going to need for next week. So for next week, we're going to assemble everything. Be sure and use the hashtag FiberFluxCal to share your work or your work in progress. And I will see you next week where we're going to put it all together. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest FiberFlux video updates. Thanks again.